Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, so let's jump on into this. We're going to take a little peek at the topic of love. By the way, I had recorded a video yesterday, and it was one that fell into that quagmire of processing that took 24 hours. And so I wasn't able to release it until this morning, but it was technically yesterday's specific message, just so you guys know. There is one that I think very few people even knew was out there because it was such an unusual way for me to release a video, but that's why that happened that way. Hi, guys. AC, Denise, it's so wonderful to see you. Good evening, everybody. Is anybody else just like wiped out by the weather changes and fall coming in? I feel like I'm like transitioning today, and my head is just like, oh my gosh. It feels like a day that, you're supposed to be all cuddled up or something, and like watching raindrops on the windows. We have got a nine of cups. It is sideways. We've got a strength card upright. We've got a five of wands sideways and a four of cups sideways. There's mixed energy here. We may have a feminine as our lead character who could be a Leo, but it seems like when it comes to love, like she has a very strong opinion of what, a love story would look like. Hi, everybody. So great to see you all. Um, it may be that she has this idea of like what it would be like to be really connected to a partner. She wants somebody to stand beside her. She may have a pet that is like profoundly like loyal to her. Sometimes a little, 5-pound house cat can be like, she goes to answer the door and the little house cat runs up there too and sits beside her like, I'm not sure I'm letting you in. Like, I feel like there's a strong sense of protection and loyalty that she has, and that's an energy that she carries pretty much all the time. Like the people that are close to her, she probably has this bond with, even if we're going down to like pets. But she probably has a really strong sense of like, when you're one of, my inner circle, then you stand under my umbrella. And I think she collects people that feel the same way about her, or animals that feel the same way about her, fiercely loyal and kind of protective. There's happiness, but there's also, this isn't upright completely. There is happiness with the things that she has, but this is a single person's card. And I have to say, this almost looks like a feminine who's like, I'm single, I'm happy, and I'm also not. Meaning, like with the relationships that I have, they're all high quality, but maybe I'm missing one particular kind of relationship, or perhaps there's an energy of right now she's picking up on obviously a conflict. She still thinks about them with the five of wands. It's, analyzing, going round and round in her mind. She may even try to run away from the memory of somebody. This could be particularly today. I started out by saying, is anybody else feeling really heavy, really like tired, or just like there's a change in, the seasons right now that just hit. Like I was so energetic, and now I feel like I have like no energy left. And it just like, I just kind of like went downhill the more I was active today and the more stuff that went on in my day. And I'm like, oh, it's so relaxing to just be with you guys tonight. This is so peaceful. This will probably be my last little story before bedtime, just because I'm like, I can feel myself relaxing. But in this story, it almost feels like maybe that feeling is being applied to a character, though, in a more like romantic context, somebody who's feeling and maybe trying to dodge the feeling of analyzing, of sensing someone else's disappointment. She may be feeling this. He may be feeling this. I mean, those cards are sideways, so there's like some shared energy here. But it does feel like there's an energy that goes along with this story right now. Is that going to come out? What are you? The moon. Okay. I'm not sure if that card is, yeah, okay. And it did land upright as well. I don't like to move unless it's going to organically pop out. So I had to know what was going to happen there. We have the sun in the reverse. Yeah. The moon is what's hidden. The sun should be what's shown, but in the reverse, we're not seeing this clearly. And then, of course, we have the cosmic energy of, the sun and the moon, which should be balanced. This is also representing the divine masculine and feminine. And we could say maybe the masculine's a little bit out of balance, but then the feminine seems to be like gravitationally pulling. So I'm wondering if she's a little bit concerned, or not concerned, if she doesn't know where her slight sense of dissatisfaction is coming, because she can count up great things in her life and say, my life is so good and I'm so happy. So why am I also kind of unhappy? It's not fair to be unhappy when I have so many beautiful, wonderful things and strong connections in my life. Where is this coming from? I think she knows, but I think she's hiding it from herself with the moon. I think she doesn't want to admit it. We saw her, running on that Five of Wands card. We see her trying to say it couldn't be him. It couldn't be the memory of him. It couldn't be his energy, right? King of Pentacles, Nine of Swords. Look, I don't know if we have a masculine who is feeling a lot of regrets and she's feeling his feelings of regrets. But in this case, maybe he's in a place where he has a lot to offer now. And maybe that's why the regrets are here. When circumstances change, when it's like, I'm so much more stable today. And so I really regret that I wasn't that stable before. And it could be that his regrets, because he's making the comparison between his own life, who he was before and who he is today, what he could offer today that he didn't offer in the past. His unhappiness with this could be like oozing out toward her, because remember, she's the moon, she's a gravitational pull. So she's going to be pulling things toward her. His unhappiness, because the sun in the reverse can be unhappiness, and that would be coming off the masculine. His disappointment, his regrets. And if he's sitting there like owning all of it, steeped in it, and saying, God, if only I had met her now I could offer so much. And I wasn't able to, and I'm freaking unhappy about it. And she's like drawing that energy to her. It's really, with that Nine of Swords, it's really big time, like stressing her out more than maybe she wants to let on. Okay, so this is a weird like message of like a transference of energy here. How is it manifesting for her? Ten of Wands, Queen of Wands, Ace of Wands. It's interesting because as much as it says she's happy, but also not quite happy at the same time, this says she's saying, I just need to lay down some burdens. This must be a closing of a cycle, a chapter for me. I'm kind of restless and passionate. I want love. She may be kind of lusty right now, but also she's sitting here like, I'm done with everybody. There's nobody that I want. She's sitting here outside the gates like she left on her own, volition here. And then she's got all of her suitcases and, again, her trusty little cat. Just feels like somebody who's like a combination of restless, done, not wanting to feel this way, feeling like it doesn't quite make sense why she feels this way, strong and content in her life and life choices to a certain extent, but simultaneously aware that she needs to like shed, I'm thinking, the memory of them, because I do think she is running from thinking about them, and yet they keep popping up in her head, and it's stressing her out, and it's manifesting as restlessness, trying to tell herself it's just because, I'm going through transition, I'm letting go of some things, I'm unburdening my life, and I'm just excited to walk through the next door. She may be kind of like trying to hype herself up, but we do feel, I don't know, when I see the Queen of Wands, but she's outside of these gates with all of her luggage packed, and she's like waiting for the taxi to come drive her away. It is like a little bit of an energy of defiance. Like, I am good. I am so happy. I can't wait to start my new life. I am so out of here. But you notice the taxi hasn't arrived yet. Just like this. Either the train is leaving the station and she didn't get on it, or she's waiting for the right train to come in. We kind of keep seeing her sitting, waiting. And maybe that's where some of the frustration is, just like she's trying to forget them and they're popping into her head right now. And it's like, this is ridiculous. Why would I be having a day where anything in my life wouldn't be sunshiny and awesome? Look, I'm ready for a new lover. Can't wait to meet that new lover. Just haven't yet. And in the meantime, that ex pops into my head and it's kind of frustrating. That's the way I would summarize this. Okay, so let me take a look and say, what's that King of Pentacles, Four of Cups person doing over here? Okay, wild card, King of Wands, Five of Wands. So he's maybe talking about her, invoking her name today, talking about her to a friend, or, in this time frame. It doesn't have to be today, so to speak, but, a time frame, right? He could be consulting with a friend. He could also be feeling very stubborn. And we do have a King and a Queen of Wands. And, we've got 3 different decks out right now. And so, 78 cards in each deck. The chances that we get a perfectly matched pair, a lot of things have to go right to get a perfectly matched pair of a King and Queen of Wands out of 3 different decks. But it happened, right? So I would just say there is obviously a paired energy here, right? They're actually, maybe this is why they're picking up on each other's frequency, because they're actually in the same space where their hearts are really activated right now. And that could be why we have this day where they're so tethered together. Also, they're both in the Five of Wands. They're remembering, they're analyzing, they're going round and round in both of their minds, but also, more importantly, in both of their hearts right now. Maybe today is like a particular window of time where they knew each other around this time of the year, or there's a reason that this time of the year is important or something. But with that wild card, it's like, look, his heart is still loyal to her regardless. Like, this is the person who he gave his heart to a long time ago. Even if the relationship didn't work out, it doesn't erase the fact that she holds his heart. Always has. And maybe that's the part that is like, it's never gone away. Like, she's the person I feel this emotion for. I don't know if he's talking to a friend about this right now, but there's definitely this awareness on his part. Like, there's not ever going to be anybody that I feel this way about but her. It's been long enough that he knows that. Sometimes we take time to realize something, and then it's like so clear to us. Like, it won't matter if 1,000 years pass. It won't matter if multiple lifetimes pass. This is the person who stays. And when I think about her, I have the exact same emotions all over again, because this is a person who holds my heart. He's aware of that. But he is talking Four of Cups. There we go again on his side. And Ace of Swords. He is talking about like a friend, or talking with a friend about this whole thing, right? We saw him in the Four of Cups. We see him steeped in the regrets. I think there must have been a time where he was able to talk to her, and maybe this was their last conversation. Maybe they had coffee together. Maybe that was a moment where he saw a look in her eyes change. Maybe these two had a tiff, an argument, something. And he saw like, oh gosh, what's that song? Something about, I saw the light in your eyes. I can't think of what it is because I'm blurring a country song now that has nothing to do with that. But in any case, there's something that was said was essentially the moment that her facial expression changed. He remembers it, and it's like, no, that was it. Maybe this is the last time he saw her. Maybe he's recounting this to, a friend and saying, I made such a mess, like, and I know exactly the moment. Exactly. I watched her face. We were having coffee. We were at a coffee shop. I said something, and I saw the bottom drop out of the way she felt about me. Or I said something that cut her. And God, if only I could go back in time and erase that. This feels like the beginning of the end, but it's a very precise thing that he regrets. It's a very precise thing. Either his words echoed, or it was the message that he said, and it was like, I saw her shut down in that moment. That was a cut too deep. I don't know that it was anything that was intended to be mean, but maybe it was something that, even to his own ears, it's like, oh my God, that was so thoughtless, or oh my God, I said something that was just words cut. High Priestess. I don't know what it was, but man, did she read between the lines as well. It was like, if you're going to say those words, what it really equates to meaning, the translation of that is whatever. This is it. This is the moment that we're done. Because the Ace of Swords severs. It's like that was the moment she threw in the towel and said, "Oh, I get it. We're done. If those are the words you would speak to me, then I get it. What it is that we're done here." And I think he remembers that. Now, let's ask on her side. Is that the way she remembers this? Was there a moment? Sometimes two people grow apart. Sometimes there's a fight, or sometimes, ooh, yeah, there was a moment. World card in the reverse. There's nothing more to be said after this. There wasn't a conversation, and then things began, and it was like, oh, wow, we're starting fresh. So I'm wondering if this was their chance to, maybe they already had a stressed connection. Then they had the ability to have a conversation or to spend some time together. And what he essentially did was, I'm picturing somebody like taking something that's fragile, made out of glass, and being like, smashing it on the ground. And it's like, that was the moment. Well, the earth dropped out from under her feet. That was it. That it was done. And she knows it too. Whatever was said. Can I just see? What do you think was said? The Fool. Something very foolish. I don't know if she said he made me feel like I was foolish, or he said something that let me know, I may as well go off in a different direction, or that he's gone off in a different direction. I don't know, that that's her on the card. She felt foolish. Empress in the reverse, King of Swords upright. He said something that was so deeply insulting, even if it was perhaps subtle. It was something that she interpreted as, I feel like a fool. He never saw me as an empress, and he's letting me know that. So I don't know what it was, but man, that looks like it stung, at least on her side. Okay, hang on. What do you think happened? I mean, from your side anyway, what is it that you think was said? Queen of Cups upright. Four of Swords. It almost feels like the kind of thing that was said might have been, I don't know if he made some comment about her being so woo-woo, which is so crazy because he actually loved that part of her. But maybe he said it in a little bit of a, like, oh, well, your feet barely touch the ground. You're always floating, but he didn't say it in like a sweet way. An empress is grounded and is somebody who builds things in her life and runs an empire. And if he said something that more or less belittled like her life's work, or let's just say the essence of who she is, by saying, I mean, look, a Queen of Cups is wonderful, but this Queen of Cups is very much a dreamer. And if she said, oh, whatever he said made me feel like he thinks of me as foolish, I have no idea why, but he definitely doesn't see me as an empress. Even if I'm like running my empire, even if I'm doing things, he sees his own life as he's very organized, very structured, does everything even quite perfectly, and I'm coming up short. When what he says he said is, the thing that I love most about her is the thing that I actually either, maybe I did say something about her being like, I don't know, floaty or mystical in some way, something along those lines. And he might also have, like, there's an energy of like an abandonment or a loner's energy on this card. And whatever he said may have made her feel like, oh, okay, so another person that doesn't see me. So I'm back to just being out here on my own. I don't think that he said something to be highly critical exactly, but he did say something that made her either feel that same feeling of being like, I guess I should just go off someplace else by myself, because obviously you're not understanding me. Obviously, I'm too drifty or too dreamscapey, or I'm not somebody that you're able to see what I build, what I grow, the way, it does feel like a little bit misunderstood or devalued, something along those lines. And I feel like that he knew it as soon as he said it. It was like, that was really hurtful. That was me telling her, like ostracizing her somehow for the very essence of what she is, which is also the very essence of what he adored about her. Because this is upright. I'm not saying he was like, oh, no, I tried to give her a compliment. She totally, because of her own triggers, she got it wrong. He knows that I don't know that he, like this was exactly accidental or like she misinterpreted. I almost think, yeah, Five of Pentacles. Something about the essence of who she is, he commented on, but it pointed out somehow that she is very like otherly, otherworldly, like, I don't know, something about, I don't know if it was said in jest, I doubt it. This just feels like maybe he said these are the things that you do wrong or something, or these are the things you're still not getting right. But it's the way you do stuff is just different than other people. I don't know what it was. It just feels like the net result was, all her warmth was removed, and it was like the light just got, tucked behind this huge dark cloud, or like, all that brightness, all that warmth from her just got, like the air got sucked out of the room when he said this. So we knew he'd hit like some wound or created a wound. He knows that. But I'm guessing this was also the end of their connection. Look, it didn't say that he did it to be mean. It really didn't. But maybe he never fully understood her. Maybe that's what this was about. He didn't understand something about her, even though it's so crazy because it's like he was super drawn to her. Ten of Swords. That was it. Again, that was the moment. And that was the last time he saw her. She walked away and she didn't look back. I'm not saying she left in a huff. I'm saying this probably, like in the moment, he knew that it was over as soon as those words came out of his mouth, but it like really was over. And that's something that's like burned into his memory. If you thought you had seen her like withdraw, how come you didn't do anything to say sorry? We have a Page of Cups. He sure thought it. But maybe this is one of those things where, oh my God, I said exactly the wrong thing. And I could feel her just detach from me. Seven of Pentacles. Maybe he didn't think to say sorry until far later, or maybe he thought he would say sorry a bit later. Somehow, like it would soften it, or it would just kind of fade away, and then he could say sorry like in 7 days. I'm thinking that maybe this is one of those things. Page of Wands. He had an intention. I'm going to say sorry in a few days. I'm going to readdress this, though. I am. And then did you not? Emperor in the reverse. So that speaks of selfish. Why did you decide you weren't going to say sorry? Queen of Swords. Well, she said stuff to me that was, maybe she actually wrote him. She's sitting here. Maybe she wrote him and said, something very plain, very like, I can tell that this wouldn't work. And so then it hurt him. So now I'm not going to say sorry. I doubt this is the first time you've been an Emperor in the reverse. Because if you watched the life go out of somebody because of something that you said and you didn't make it right then, I have a hard time believing that you were an Emperor in that moment either. Because an Emperor would be real quick to make sure that they didn't hurt somebody, especially if his instinct was, I need to say I'm sorry. Oh my God, I need to say I'm sorry. But I'm going to wait 7 days so that it levels out. Nah, an Emperor takes responsibility. They wanted to come in as a page later and then heal things. And by that time, she'd already written them a letter. And then they were like, well, now I'm hurt, so I'm not going to say sorry. Okay, so it's okay. I don't think that this was a good matchup. I really don't. Escar, oh my God, thank you so much. You are so incredibly generous. Thank you so much. This feels so much like, I don't think that this was a great partnership at all. In fact, I'm not even sure that there should be any pain around this one. I know it's been like, obviously she's still bothered by this. And I kind of want to say, stop it. Don't hurt over this one. Who cares what he had to say? You weren't dealing with an Emperor anyway on the first hand. And secondly, so he didn't get you. Lots of people won't get us in this life. That's the beautiful thing. There are 8 billion plus people on this planet. Many of those people will get us. Why do we have to get hung up on the one that doesn't get us, right? That's what I want to say to this character, to like support and say, like, let this one go. It's okay. Don't let this one sting. And even maybe this explains why she's saying, exactly. Like, I know my life's amazing. I know that I only want relationships, and I even have great relationships in my life, but I'm still single, and this one still sticks in my craw, and I don't like it. That's maybe why she's a little bit like, I described her as like, I don't know, a little bit frustrated, a little bit lusty, a little bit like determined to like move on, a little bit irritated or something, that she still feels like a tug of stress. But like I said at the beginning, it feels more like she can't help but have his words either echo in her mind or thoughts of him, and that's almost a little bit frustrating and making her more determined. I want to meet somebody. I don't really want, even though I have a great life, but I'm single, I don't really want his words to still be popping in my head. I don't want his sorry, I know I just jerked that. My elbow slipped and I almost was going to drop the card. Oh no, that would have been the end of the world. So funny how we overreact sometimes to something as simple as that. And maybe that's a great example, though. This is a little bit of an overreaction, right? Really, this whole thing should be a fart in the wind, but because his name pops up in her head sometimes, which on one hand, if she's a high priestess and she's associated with the moon, she almost can't help it because she's still going to be picking up on, energy flows. And he's projecting it pretty heavily at her right now. His unhappiness, his regrets. But then it's getting like picked up by her and it's becoming something that's stressing her out. That needs to stop, is what I would suggest. But how does she, I don't know, universe, you weigh in. What would be the best thing here? Four of Wands, Temperance. The universe says when his name pops into her head, or when this memory surfaces, or when this emotion surfaces and then jogs her memory about him, the better thing to do would be to say, oh yeah, I remember there was that one person. There were some things that made us incompatible, which helped me to focus on the things that I believe would make me more compatible with someone. What are the things that he showed me that are the traits that I would want in a partner? Not the traits that he had per se, but he helped me remember the reason why relationships are compatible or incompatible is because of the qualities that we look for in a partner. And he helped me remember to evaluate that. When I get that buzz or that memory or that feeling in my heart that's coming from him, although I don't know that she knows, is because he's projecting, regrets toward her. If she could take that and she could turn it into something positive and say, oh, I do remember that there were some things that didn't work out between myself and that one person. And I really want a great partnership. And he helped me learn that I want somebody who really will dance with me, somebody who, likes my personality, someone whose personality I enjoy. I want to be joyful. The number one thing I think for her is I want somebody I can enjoy. The two of us have to laugh together, can't sit around and, like tear each other down and say, this is what I don't like about you, or this is what's wrong with you, or this element of the core of who you are is something that I'm going to criticize. I think that's a number one thing that he taught her, if she could look at it in a more positive light. But again, we have to spin it, because how else do you take any kind of energy and use it wisely? Think about transference of energy. Okay, so we have, fossil fuels that then become petroleum, and then they run our cars, and then we can travel. That's a way that we use one thing, transfer it into something else, and then it yields a totally different outcome. She's got to do that with that energy that's coming at her that she can't help but catch because she's a high priestess or the moon. She feels his energy coming at her, but instead of making her sad, she needs to take it like it's a fossil fuel and turn it into something that is usable so that she can go further in life, instead of letting it be like, oh my God, this sucks, this is bogging me down. If she could do that, and maybe she, every time she thinks of him or his name pops up, maybe she should sit down with a piece of paper and write down 4 things that she knows she wants that are really important, that she pictures in a really happy marriage. The qualities that she's looking for. She doesn't have to say, because he didn't have those things, this is what I want. No, he shouldn't be like a negative thing. He should be a positive thing, just like it propels us forward when we drive our car. And I'm not saying fossil fuels are the best, obviously non-renewable resources, not the best thing to just be using up. But I'm just using that as a quick example. So that was not a social commentary. But in this case, if she could jot down a couple of really great things that she wants in partnership, and then say, yeah, I got something so valuable out of that experience with him. He helped me realize the things that I most want. I want somebody who likes me. I want somebody who wants to dance with me, have fun with me. I want somebody who says, wow, you're this like dreamer and there's this energy to you. And God, I love that. The crazy part is he did love that about her, but it came across as a criticism somehow. Whatever this was, it came across as a criticism, and it came across as that's why somehow it wasn't going to work, or whatever the criticism was that he spat at her. It was some kind of an act of love that she was then criticized for. It was like her language of love that he was criticizing, or something along those lines. And so I think if she goes, yeah, but some people will totally love the way I naturally express love, and it won't be seen as like I'm wrong for doing that. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what my happy love story will be, is I'll have a partner that likes my language of love, or that likes something about me, and I too will match with them. That's what I'm seeking in partnership. If she could spin it that way, I could see how that would work really nicely. Really nicely. Emperor sideways. Also, this is not to, I don't think she's supposed to spend any real time thinking about him. I think it's just saying, when she's really balanced and knows the kind of partnership she wants to have, then like evaluate any potential suitor and be like, did we have that? Did we laugh together? Did we dance together? Would we have wanted the same kind of wedding or marriage? Did we see things, in the empire that we'd want to build together in the same way? And she might apply it to him and be like, well, he had some great traits for somebody else maybe, but I wasn't his cup of tea. But honestly, he wasn't mine either, because he didn't look at the future. He didn't look at the world the way I did. He didn't see it in a compatible way to me. That doesn't make him bad. That doesn't make anybody bad. But I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for compatibility. There's lots and lots of different ways you can be emperors and empresses in this world. We don't have to walk around and say, well, he clearly was no good. No, he just had a different vision. Maybe he didn't understand her love language. This softens a lot of it for her, instead of having to make anybody a villain, but it also gives her a new way to kind of say, I'm looking for my emperor. My emperor would probably be someone that I can build the same empire with. So that's how I evaluate partners now. That's so much better. So much better, I think. Okay, universe, what's the message for him in this one? And then we'll get this one wrapped up. What is the message for him? Princess of Wands. And then we also have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so one thing I will say is this Princess of Wands is the Page of Wands. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because, remember, soon as he saw that light go out of her eyes and he knew he'd ruined this relationship with her, he knew. She walked away and never looked back over her shoulder at him either. That's somehow he saw her go and he knew that was it. And his instinct was, I need to apologize, but I'll wait until I don't know what, until the dust has settled. I don't know why you would do that. But then he said, but I'm going to even maybe bring a gift later, and I'm going to surprise her and I'm going to make things okay. There's that Page of Wands. Page of Wands doesn't usually have anything to do with bringing gifts necessarily. Pages can be messengers, and this is usually the first step on a journey. But I almost feel like his plan was, I'm going to go visit her or something, and I'll bring a gift and I'll make it right. Maybe I'll surprise her in like 7 days. But then remember, she sent him a letter that then pissed him off instead. And her letter was written as a Queen of Swords where she was done. So he never showed back up to give her that apology. The universe kind of says, here's that card again. That's the Page of Wands, just like the one, the apology he'd intended that apparently she wasn't worthy of immediately. Sorry, that pisses me off. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. Maybe he thought, I'll do something bigger to show an apology, but I just think, wouldn't you just fix it? When you know you just screwed up royally, wouldn't you not let somebody walk away until you fixed it? I don't know. To me, the universe is saying you already had ample time. It's always been the right time to fix it. If this is the card associated with that apology that should have been given a long time ago, it was time all this time. There was never like you needed to wait to a perfect time to apologize. This Wheel of Fortune says divine timing has been here all this time. And my puppy ate this when he was a baby, and I always still use the card because to me it adds another like message to this. It says we've been burning daylight. It's been the right time and we haven't taken advantage of it. Now we lost time. And so the universe is just pointing out there was already time to have apologized. It was always time because you already knew you hurt somebody and you did feel bad about it. And that has never changed. Even if then her not wanting to talk to you anymore and writing some goodbye letter as a Queen of Swords pissed you off, that doesn't mean that you didn't owe her an apology. In fact, if anything, you should have connected the dots and been like, would I want to talk to me if I just said the things that I said to her? I really feel like this person had a big ego or something like that, maybe, that really made it hard for them to I don't know, like, she didn't talk to them meanly in that letter that she wrote with the Queen of Swords because she was upright, but it could have been very direct. And then they didn't like that as the king, or excuse me, as the emperor in the reverse. But the universe says it was always time to say sorry. It was always something you still should have done all this time. So as long overdue. And with this is now the Page of Swords, which is like the spying card or the card of like gathering information. It's a little bit like the universe is saying all this time, I guess at least consider what have you learned? Because what we know he's kind of experienced throughout this is he's sitting in all this regret. He's got the Sun in the reverse. He's got the Four of Cups, twice. He's sitting in all this regret, which would not be a comfortable place to be. And to boot, he's an upset emperor in the reverse. Nothing about this experience has been good for him either. Hurting somebody, knowing you hurt them, knowing they want to walk away from you, knowing you want to say sorry, but then never doing it just leaves like a big old, it'd be like if we left like a big rock in our shoe and every step we take, we feel that rock pushing on our foot. Who's hurting us? Why don't we stop and take the pebble out of our shoe? When are you going to learn that you have to stop and take the pebble out of your shoe because it's not getting out of there without you putting in the energy? So this need to apologize is never going to go away. And he's always going to walk around with the pebble in his shoe. We've got this Prince of Cups. The universe is saying very plain, there's a way to remedy this. And you already know what the remedy is. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what the remedy is. This is somebody that you loved, somebody that you say, something that you said made her just like, it collapsed the relationship. And you never fixed it. And this is still somebody that you love. So what do? You go toward that person with your emotions, with your cup of emotions. Maybe it's too late to fix it, but at least to try maybe to alleviate some of this regret because he's the one carrying it right now. Final message. King of Sacred Circles. Remember, we already saw him that way as well. And I was saying, like, I don't know, was it that he's saying, God, I'm so different now. I would, I have so much to offer now that I didn't before. And now I would actually change that phrasing and say, He's like, I've grown an awful lot. That's not the way I would have spoken to her. That's not the conversation. I would have sat there at that coffee house and I would have said something totally different to her now with the me that I am. After all this time sitting here in this freaking regret. And the universe is like, if that's who you are, then show up like that. You're not the emperor in the reverse anymore. Then show up as the person that you are now. Give her the apology from that person's lips. I don't know. Does this mean that if that were to happen, that there was like now they're more compatible? What is, what's ironic? If he either said something about her language of love or, I said it, he looked at her as a Queen of Cups. So knew full well she had done something to be very kind, but still kind of like slayed her for it. I don't know. Something about, we had that 5 of cups for her and 4 of swords. There was something that both cards gave her a sense of like isolation or loneliness with whatever words he used. But what's so ironic is if he somehow belittled something about her for being like more of a dreamer or more sensitive or emotional or whatever. So funny because he's the one who's sitting out here like calling on grandfather sky and very spiritual at this point and using the heartbeat drum and he's like in a trance meditative state. And it's just weird because I'm almost wondering, and remember he was a king of swords and he was an emperor in the reverse. That's how we saw him. Very different energy than how he shows up now. Way more earthy, way more grounded now, way more spiritual now. I'm wondering if he like make fun of some spiritualism in her or something like that, only to find out that over time that side of him blossomed. Like maybe that's why he pushed back on that side of her, because he was rejecting it in himself. Sometimes the thing that people hate the most is the thing that they secretly are, and that's why it triggers them so freaking bad, because you're showing me the thing that I'm trying to suppress in myself. And so I'm highlighting that and it's pissing me off and bugging me because I keep trying to squash that part of me, but you show it to me. And it's even why I'm probably drawn to you, which is why I need to ridicule it, because I'm actually ridiculing myself or trying to fight something in myself. Like that's how this comes across to me anyway, because now he's all like super spiritual. And I feel like this sucks that this got so crumpled, right? But at this point, we'll just see. We'll just see. 3 of Wands. If nothing else, maybe these two could close out this chapter and move forward, and maybe in the next life they can try it again. But this actually says, who knows, in the next 3 months, who knows what might happen. We're not leaving this storyline with an answer. We are seeing that there's something very different about him with the King of Pentacles at this point. We see him extremely uncomfortable through this entire story, kind of steeped in the regrets in this story and a very different version of himself. And as much as she's like working on not picking up on those vibes and instead turning her thoughts towards something positive every time he pops into her head, and then being encouraged to remember what you're seeking is a balanced partnership, somebody you could see as your emperor, somebody who would have similar views about the empire they'd want to build to you. This is an emperor and an empress. All I can say is it is very possible that things have changed enough, that he has changed enough, that the apology that has always been on the tip of his tongue, if that comes out, who knows what could happen. The future is unwritten. Does not mean that these two would be great together at this point, but it also doesn't mean that they couldn't be if there's that much change that's happened. But I would definitely say, let's ask one last question. I always do this, right? Okay, one more. And then it's like another hour passes. Oh my gosh. These stories get so lengthy sometimes. What are you going to do? Let's just cut to the chase for him. What are you actually going to do? Because there's what you wish you had done before, what you were pissed off over, hurt over, wouldn't do before. Now you've been suffering in silence, knowing what you still needed to do. None of that ever changed. So what are you going to do? 9 of Pentacles. I gotta say, he's looking her way and he sees her as somebody that he has great respect for. That is not how he treated her in the past. There he is again as the King of Swords, sideways. He is, talk about a card that depicts turmoil of the mind, right? Spiraling, trying to figure out the right thing to say, trying to figure out how do I approach her with the respect that she deserves? How do I tell her that I respected her even then when I said something that I know hurt her? How do I do this? How do I find those words? I feel like his brain is a swirling mess trying to find the words. We have that 3 of Wands sideways. All I can say is the way we end this right now, when I say, what are you going to do? He says, I'm going to be figuring it out in the next 3 months. And maybe in the next month and a half, we'll cut that down by, instead of 3 months, we'll cut it down by half since it's sideways. I have to figure out the right way to say what I need to say to her. So I would say it's pretty obvious. He's a bit tongue-tied right now. He may actually suddenly impulsively say something, and it could come across as, I always respected you. Like that might be, if that's the core of what he wants to say, maybe that's where he feels like I really disrespected her, and I need her to know that I did respect her. I always did. There's something where it's like he wants to give her back whatever he made her feel like unwanted or something like that. He wants to make sure that he erases that. And that might be one of the most important things that he can convey to her is how much he actually respects her and what she's built. That 9 of Pentacles is almost like, look, the Empress in the reverse, I didn't say it before because it was just a little heavy to say, but she might have even been made to feel like she somehow wasn't like marriage material or somebody that would be chosen. This is him saying this, and maybe it's too late for him to say this, but there's not anybody on this planet that would be a better match that brings more to the table than you do. If this is his way of trying to undo whatever the interpretation was that he knows she took away from that conversation that they had that ended this relationship, that may be the first order of business in his mind, is how do I tell her she's not only somebody who has so much value, but she has so much to offer, and it's all just like the essence of her is what the pot of the gold is. And so it's the exact reverse of what I made her feel like. Like, I feel like this is the big thing that he's trying really hard to figure out how to say. This is his regret, that 4 of Cups. She's a freaking mermaid. She is really special. She is something that is like almost otherworldly to him. She is something that I think he made her feel unwanted or otherworldly or something wrong. But this says, but she is otherworldly, but in a good way. She's a 1 in a billion. And why didn't I say it that way? Why instead did I phrase it in a way that was hurtful? Why did I not tell her that, oh, trust me, there's only one of you on this planet. That's why I can't take my eyes off you. Instead of saying, oh yeah, well, don't know what it is about you that, yeah, well, you are weird. Like that's an insult. If you reframe that and say, I have never met anybody like you. The way you operate, it's kind of like off the charts. It's outside of the realm of what I'm familiar with. That's why I can't stop staring at you. That's why I want to get to know you. Now you say the same thing, but you put it with the compliment. And I feel like that's the thing that he needs to undo, because I think it came out straight up like an insult and then he didn't fix it. I mean, maybe this sounds like a small thing. I don't think it was, because it was something that felt like it attacked the essence of what she brings to the table. And this is him trying to say, how do I undo that and tell her that was exactly the reason I wanted to be with her, but instead I said it in some weird snarky way that insulted her. And I knew it when I did it, but I didn't fix it. It's very petty that he didn't ever fix it. that he instead got all bent out of shape that she didn't want to deal with him after that. Because he doesn't like to be rejected, but first he said something that was a big time rejection and he knew it. So I do say that this person had a lot of growing to do if they are now a grounded and more spiritual version of themselves. I could see why he absolutely has to course correct this, or this will be that pebble in his shoe for the rest of his life. And he's going to be limping for the rest of his life over this one. I can see why he's trying to find the way to undo exactly that while still simultaneously saying, every word I said to you, I meant, but I meant it like as a compliment. And that's not the way I said it to you. She is really unique. She is really special. He wants her to know that, but it's also, that's what he loves about her. She may have blue hair, by the way, or she may have some, like funky style or something is just a little bit different about, the way she does her own life. She may be truly like have the it factor, the certain, je ne sais quoi. Like, I feel like she's a real head turner. I feel like a lot of people look at her. I feel like a lot of people notice her, but I don't know how many people like step into her world and like vibe with her. But I think she's one of those people where everybody, like, she turns heads. We got a 10 of Pentacles. We got the 2 of Cups. Oh my God. This is really tough because this adds our final layer to this story, and then we really are going to stop. We're not going to pull any more cards now. Oh my God, Ginger, thank you so much. Ginger, you are so sweet. Thank you, Angel. It looks like the final message in all of this, and maybe the reason he fought this, and maybe the reason her uniqueness triggered him, maybe he's just as unique and he was trying to squash it his whole life, but also she was a perfect match for him. And maybe that explains why it was so freaking painful, because she felt like we should be a match. And then he either like low-key attacked, criticized, tore me down when it was the one person I should have felt safe with because I thought we were vibing. And instead he tears down what I thought he would have understood about me. But it's so crazy because that might have been why he was freaking out in the first place. Like, all this part of myself that I've suppressed, which is this very intuitive nature, which she's bringing up in me. And I can feel like her energy is like this incredible, frequency. And it's pulling on this part of me that's more intuitive. And it's like, I want to either surrender to it or I want to fight tooth and nail and get away from her because she's challenging me to believe in things that I'm not supposed to believe in because I'm a freaking King of Swords who can't have, like a belief in the energetic world because it has to be a clinical, rational thought process. And instead she makes me want to, whatever, embrace my intuitive side and maybe spiritual side. And I've worked so hard to suppress that. So I need to push her away precisely because I'm feeling exactly who she is and I love exactly who she is. And it encourages me to become, step into that frequency with her. And this is him like freaking out and rejecting the hell out of her. That's what's at the core of this story. That's why this has taken so long. And that's where we had to get to, I think, to end this story, because now I feel like it makes sense to me. If you ever wonder, the reason I go so long on a certain story and not others is I have to be able to see for my own interest, because I know I'm the storyteller, but I don't know what this story is. I've never seen it before, and I get interested in the characters and get invested because I got to understand them. I got to know who they are. So if you ever wonder why do I like keep going sometimes, it is because I have to know the answer, because it's like I'm watching a movie and I'm like, well, but I still got questions. Like, tell me who you are. Why'd you do that? You guys, thanks so much for being here. Really great to see you guys. Luminous Marina, so good to see you. I love that. Love that. Hi, Bobby. Good to see you. Ginger Montague, thank you again, love. Hey, V, Herbalments, Denisa, Kiwi Shaw. You guys are so awesome. You're so sweet. Thank you so much, Kiwi Shaw. You're so amazing. I don't know. I'm not sure if anything was freezing. I didn't see that on my end. Everything looked pretty nice and smooth. Lizzie Armstrong. There we go. Sorry, I had to be able to see your name so that I could say your name properly. Manifest Mindset. Awesome to see you. Brave Pink Hero Green. Hi, sweetheart. Using my intuition. Hi, honey. How are you? Small TV. Hi, honey. S-Card. Thank you again, love. Thank you so much. Luminous Marina. Popcorn to Dr. Pepper. Small TV. There were a few facepalm moments in this one, weren't there? I wish I doodled. I love your name. That's so cute. Victoria Rose Noir. Good to see you, love. Shout out to you in Thailand, honey. Stay safe. I know monsoon season can bring lots and lots of rain. Anisha Chatu, good morning, honey. Sage and Stardust. Hey, hey. Thank you again, Escar. 11D8. Hi, honey. Calm Seas is in the house. How are you, babe? GR. Hi, honey. And Kimmy. Thank you for being here. D. Shout out to you in Ireland, babe. Thanks for popping in. Jaina, thank you so much. That is such a lovely comment. Thank you, Hen. Paris Bay. Happy belated birthday, sweetheart. Yes. Paris Bay, or I'm sorry, you go by Kimmy from California. Yes, this one is a collective message. Yeah. So on Tarot Dog, I do collective messages or I do Cancer. And then it's over on my main channel, Kate's Regretless Life, where I do all the rest of the zodiacs. Holly Stoker. Hi, hun. Travis is in the house. How are you tonight, Travis? Annette Summersby. Dandy Me. Hi. Moody. Hi, honey. Bruise Like Violets. Crystal Suzanne. Hello, smile, please. Nora A. Hi, love. Louise. Tiffany Thomas. Thank you. Right back to you, babe. And again, AC, you were first in the house. I hope you're healing up nicely, hun. Wind Dancer. Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. You hadn't been getting notified when I would go live, but now you are. Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. I don't really know what happens with that. I know some people have said it's like unsubscribing and then resubscribing seems to help reset things. I'm not sure. I wish I had a direct answer for you. I'm just happy that it seems to have resolved now. And Hasgari, hi, honey. Personately, hi, sweetie. All right, everybody, I'm going to bounce on out of here and I'm going to get some sleep tonight and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Luminous Marina, thanks for hanging out with me. Hi, Shay. Sorry, I missed you there for a second. Shay, I was a little emotional for this one too. This was like one of those, I needed like some ice cream or something to watch this episode. Heather Cowdrick, hi, babe. Thank you. And Wendy, so nice to see you. All right, you guys, take care. Bye, guys.